Welcome back, guys. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and today we're going to be talking about Matthew Stafford going into his year where he turns 36 years old. We're going to talk about just quarterbacks I think make the most sense to compare and what they did at age 36. Before we dive into it, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Be sure to follow me on all social media at JK Bogan. You can check out my unfiltered podcast. Link is in the description, and let's dive into it. So Matthew Stafford, coming off his year where he was 35 years old, 62.6 completion percentage. He had 3,965 yards, 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and 92.5 passer rating, all the while missing 2 games. Now, he missed 1 game due to injury against the Packers right before the bye, and then he sat out the final game of the season to get ready for the playoffs. So I thought it was a really good comeback for Matthew Stafford. I think the season, he was playing better than the numbers indicated, but even still being 3-6, being put in that position, the way he was able to rally the Rams back, win 7 of their last 8, and be one of the best quarterbacks in the end of the season was pretty awesome. As a matter of fact, it was even more awesome watching him do his thing against his former Detroit Lions team, and I thought he was outstanding. That was the best playoff performance I've seen from a quarterback this year, in my opinion. Now, the Super Bowl hasn't happened yet. It'll happen tomorrow, so that could change. But I thought Matthew Stafford played well enough to win any game. And unfortunately, that didn't end up happening. So let's talk about it, okay? He is 36. He just turned 36, 2 days ago? So, I've heard people say, how much longer can we expect this guy to go? Tony Romo, his last year, I believe, was 36. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think he played when he was 36, but you have other guys like Kurt Warner had an okay year at 36, not bad, 27 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, but he missed some games and they were 5-6, ended up finishing the season 8-8. You have other quarterbacks throughout history that just retired before they hit 36. Stafford's one of the older quarterbacks in the league. He's older than Kirk Cousins. He's older than Russell Wilson. He's really just not older than Aaron Rodgers. That's really it. So let's talk about the most comparable quarterbacks and what we could maybe expect to see from Matthew Stafford. I will note none of these quarterbacks at age 36 that I'm going to bring up, the most relevant, like currently this type of era, talking about Tom Brady, the Peyton Manning, Carson Palmer, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, and Matt Ryan. Those are the quarterbacks we'll bring up. None of them won the Super Bowl when they were 36 years old. Okay, so keep that in mind. Not that can, not change or anything, but let's look at Tom Brady. I like looking at Tom Brady's stats because this is right before where, I think we saw a little bit of a decline before the come up and, really kind of a resurgence with Brady. Brady was still a very good quarterback, but when he turned 36, for whatever reason that year, despite the fact the Patriots were 12-4, they made the AFC title game. He wasn't the best. He just kind of did what they needed him to do. 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 4,343 yards, a 60.5 completion percentage, not something that you would normally associate with Tom Brady. So then you have his 87.3 passer rating. Now that's interesting. After that, his numbers took off eventually. And, so he basically his year 36, we'll just call it year 36. It's easier. You know what I'm talking about. 36 years old. Wasn't great, but success. They just didn't make the playoffs, of course. Peyton Manning, 13-3, AFC divisional round. Now, very important caveat here. This was Peyton Manning's first season back from the neck injury that cost him an entire year. So his first season back, neck injury, cost him an entire year. He's 36, 68.6 completion percentage, 4,659 yards, 37 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 105.8 passer rating. That's pretty darn good. And let's be honest here. Like Peyton Manning, if Stafford wants to follow Peyton Manning's, put his best foot forward, be like Peyton Manning, that would be a good thing. You know why? Because after this, Peyton Manning would throw 55 touchdowns in a season, which is still the record today the following year. So that is that. I'm going to keep going, but a word from our sponsor, Mantis Sleep. I had it upside down. There we go. The Manta Sleep mask here that I got. Proud sponsor today's show, Manta Sleep. Like I said, guys, I didn't think I would ever use a sleep mask. I'm using it every night. This is the Manta Sleep Sound. It's got these tabs here to make sure that these razor thin speakers are going right where they need to be. It's got C-cup, eye cups, C-shaped eye cups, excuse me. And the reason for that is it allows you to sleep on your side, which is great because I do that. And it's 100% blackout. So if you're looking to get to sleep quicker, promote better habits, have healthier habits, all that, then you need to check out Manta Sleep. And my viewers can do that by going over to Manta Sleep using either the link in the description or the comment section. Promo code JKBogan is going to get you 10% off your first purchase, or just your purchase in general, not your first, but just in general. So Manta Sleep, promo code JKBogan. Let's dive into the rest of the video. So next up, we had Carson Palmer. I like to bring up Palmer because I think he's a guy that's often forgot about. He was 36 the year he had. I mean, he had a really good year. Nobody talks about it, but Carson Palmer, 13-3, NFC title game. They fall short with the Carolina Panthers in 2015. And the thing about Palmer is that, he had his moments where you saw it with the Raiders, you saw it with the Bengals, but he couldn't really stay healthy. He had some health issues. Not health issues, but, he had a hard time staying healthy. Well, when he was with Bruce Arians, they got to the NFC title game, in case you didn't know that. So, 63.7 completion percentage, 4,671 yards, 35 touchdowns, and only 11 interceptions, and a whopping 104.6 passer rating. That's right. Carson Palmer had a way better year than Tom Brady when he was 36 years old and had a comparable year to Peyton Manning at 36 years old. Peyton Manning, I think, had a better year, and to be fair, he was coming off a neck injury, but Carson Palmer doesn't get enough love. This is a little interesting. When thinking about Matthew Stafford, okay, Carson Palmer. Aaron Rodgers. We bring up Aaron Rodgers here, 13-3 NFC title, 62% completion percentage, 4,002 yards, 26 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 95.4 passer rating. This is the first year before he would win back-to-back MVPs for Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers had a good year, and the Packers, they made it to the NFC title game. They lost to the 49ers in 2019. But at the same time, Rodgers, 26 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He wasn't, 4,002 yards. This was somebody that was being more cautious, right? Not really gunslinging. So could we ever expect Matthew Stafford to look like that? I don't know. You can't take Matthew Stafford out of Matthew Stafford. You just can't. But not a bad season. Better than Brady, I would say. I know it's 7 more interceptions, but I think Palmer and Manning had a better year. Next up, we have 4 straight quarterbacks who missed the playoffs the year that they were 36 years old. Drew Brees, 7-8, missed the playoffs, missed 1 game, and he had a 68.3 completion percentage, 4,870 yards, 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and 101 passer rating. They didn't miss the playoffs because of Drew Brees. I can tell you that much. They missed the playoffs because, they missed the playoffs. And Sean Payton, who is considered this really upper tier coach, had a lot of those seasons, surprisingly, with somebody like Drew Brees. Moving on, Ben Roethlisberger, 9-6-1, missed the playoffs, 67% completion percentage, 5,129 yards, 34 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, 96.5 passer rating. Roethlisberger did everything he could that year to lead that team to the playoffs. Just fell short, but it was a very good year, and it's the most yards thrown out of any of our test subjects, if you will, at age 36. So that is intriguing. Also, that 67 completion percentage is something else. Phillip Rivers, 9-7, missed the playoffs, 62.6 completion, 4,515 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and 96 passer rating. I think that's a pretty darn good year for Phillip Rivers. Matt Ryan, 7-10, missed the playoffs, 67 completion percentage, 3,968 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and a 90.4 passer rating. So, why are we talking about this? We're talking about this because I'm already starting to see people saying, well, I don't know, can Stafford make it through? Here's what I'm going to tell you right now. Out of all of these quarterbacks, the majority of them played every single game that I just mentioned. Drew Brees missed a game. That was about it. For the most part, everybody played their games that I'm talking about. Peyton Manning off of neck injury, Tom Brady, Carson Palmer, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger. Well, Drew Brees had the one missed game, but Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan. These guys played every single game. So, all at age 36. So I see all the time, can we count on Matthew Stafford and not get hurt? Well, anyone can get hurt at any given time, okay? I mean, who knows if Kirk Cousins didn't get hurt, what the Vikings could have done. But he got hurt. Wasn't expecting it, but it happened. There were a lot of injuries this year for quarterbacks. So at any point, you can get injured. And Stafford did get hurt, of course. But Stafford doesn't miss too many games. So next year, in year 2 with Mike LaFleur, which you might not realize, but that's kind of a big deal. Because normally the Rams would have already lost their offensive coordinator by now. Yeah, they lost their pass game coordinator and they lost their quarterback coach, but they still have their offensive coordinator. Sean McVay's still there. So these are things that I'm thinking of. But when I'm looking at Matthew Stafford, based on this past year, 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, almost 4,000 yards. The completion percentage, I think, hurt. It was hit big time because of the drops. Think about this. As great as Puka Nacua was, Cooper Kupp was never the Cooper Kupp that we expect. I mean, he had a couple of those flashes, but he never fully got in the rhythm, right? He always felt like he was kind of holding back or being held back a little bit. So here's the deal. Cooper Kupp's going to be back. Puka Nacua is coming off a record-breaking rookie season. And to make matters worse for anybody that has to defend him, he didn't win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Chip on his shoulder. You got Kyron Williams now. You know what you have in Kyron Williams. This offense, this offensive line, the defense will be better. Because the defense will be better, well, they should be better, at least personnel-wise. We'll see what ends up happening with Chris Shula. I'm very excited about it. Not saying he's better than Raheem Morris, but I think he'll have more to work with this year. The point I'm making here is more generated turnovers, which generates more possessions, which means better stats, or more yards. That's something I expect Stafford to see this year. Now, I understand age 36, like Peyton Manning, it was great. Eli Manning, who I didn't list, not a great 36-year-old season. So not everybody has it the way these guys have had it. Not everybody. And you could argue Tom Brady had the worst year of anybody in this, focus group. So, what am I saying? Well, taking a look at this, for the most part, everybody has thrown for at least 4,000 yards except for Matt Ryan at age 36. Of the, 6, 7, 8 quarterbacks that I selected, 8 of those quarterbacks, 7 of them threw for at least 4,000 yards. So, of the 8 quarterbacks we had, they all threw for at least 20 touchdowns, so that's good. But then you had 4 of the 8 throw for 30-plus touchdowns. So that's interesting. And we'll use the 13. We'll use 13 as a number. 13. So every single quarterback except for Ben Roethlisberger, so 7 of the 8 quarterbacks had fewer than 13 interceptions. Fewer than 12 interceptions. Tons of them had 11. Tom Brady had 11. Peyton Manning had 11. Carson Palmer had 11. Drew Brees had 11. And Matt Ryan had 12. So yeah, 13, we'll say. Passer rating. Everyone had over a 90 except for Tom Brady, who had an 87.3. But everyone had over a 90. There were 3 of those quarterbacks in the 8 guy focus group that had over 100 passer rating. That was Peyton Manning, Carson Palmer, and Aaron Rodgers. If I was to project the Matthew Stafford stat line, his year now that he's 36, based on what I'm seeing here, I would probably venture his completion percentage is going to be higher than 62.6 this year. I'm going to say 65.4. So we're going to put in 65.4 for Matthew Stafford completion percentage. I think he definitely goes over 4,000 yards this year. I kind of like him in between the 43 to 4,600 range, which is where most of these guys kind of average out. So I'll say like 4,500. We'll just say 4,500. We'll round it. So, we got 65.4. I'll just write this down so I have it. 65.4. And then we got 400. Or 4,500 yards. And then how many touchdowns? I'm thinking 32, folks. I'm thinking 8 more touchdowns next year for Matthew Stafford. I think, he got off to a slower start because a lot of those touchdowns were rushing touchdowns with Kyren Williams. I think we're going to see 32 passing touchdowns from Matthew Stafford. And as far as interceptions go, I think he is going to stay right about the same. We'll give him another interception. So 32 and 12 interceptions. And we're going to, I don't know how to really calculate a passer rating on the fly, but let's just say his passer rating is going to be around 99, which goes up about 7 points, considering his passer rating was 92.5 this year. So what are my thoughts? I'm expecting not a regression, folks. I'm expecting a positive movement forward for Matthew Stafford. I think he's going to build upon this season. Keep in mind, his 2022 year was cut short through 9 games. He didn't have an offensive line. He had to dump passes off, wasn't able to take the big shots like he was this year. And even still, he wasn't taking the big shots. He was just taking the 15, 20-yard, strikes instead of the deep ball. So, look, Matthew Stafford, age 36, I think he's going to be in for a really good season. Is it going to be the best year of his career? Probably not. But I think it's going to be a very, very quality season for Matthew Stafford. Again, 32 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, a 99 passer rating, 4,500 yards, and 65.4 completion percentage. So he goes up in every single category. Now, this is assuming he plays all the games. I do believe he's going to play all the games at least for the most part. He might miss a game or two, but I think he's going to get through the majority of the schedule. So that's what I have. This is so early. The Super Bowl hasn't even happened yet for the season that we are wrapping up, essentially. But it's something that was on my mind I wanted to discuss. I'm curious what you guys think. Do you guys think that Stafford is in for a regression, or do you kind of like the idea of Stafford having, a really quality year, and you trust him to have a really quality year? What I will also say is that I wouldn't be surprised if he had over 100 passer rating. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a Carson Palmer season. Wouldn't be surprised if he had a Peyton Manning season. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy threw for 50 touchdowns. I really wouldn't. He's got all the tools. It's a matter of how things are going to be called. How is the offense going to look? They were 8th this year. And think about how slow things started out of the gate. I mean, yeah, they showed a lot of, energy, obviously, early on. The Seahawks game, they blew them out. The 49er game. But then the Bengals game, they kind of slowed down a little bit. The Cardinals game, they looked good. Then the Eagles game, they slowed down a little bit. They, losing, the Colts, they looked good. And the Eagles, they slowed down. The Cardinals game, they looked good. And they lost Kyren Williams for 5 games. So, I think having Kyren Williams healthy, having Puka in his second season, having a healthy Cooper Kupp, and hopefully usage of Tutu Atwell and whoever else, joins this team, I think the Rams and mainly, Matthew Stafford in for a big year. So we'll see what ends up happening, but those are my thoughts. I just figured it's so much easier instead of just saying, this is why I think Matthew Stafford isn't going to regress this season. It's better to just show, or at least tell you guys, just the examples. I like examples too. I don't like just having a take. I like bringing up examples to support that. And I think you can expect a season very similar in between a Carson Palmer, 35 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and like a, Phillip Rivers 28 touchdowns, 10 or so. Like, I think it's going to be something like that. I think he's going to be throwing, borderline 100 rating. And I think that completion percentage will go up. But we'll see what ends up happening. Very excited for the season, folks. Obviously, it is draft season, so we'll be working on that. But just wanted to get this out because it was on my mind. So hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Follow me on all social media at JKBogan. And, of course, check out Mantis Sleep. The, of course, link is in the description and the comment section. And you can use promo code JKBogan for 10% off. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys soon. Later, folks. Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.